Hello everyone, Evie the Original Master here, and I'm back again with another video game review. So in this review, I'll be reviewing Super Mario Bros. Crossover, which was a fan-made Flash game, which is basically a crossover of the original Super Mario Bros. Games with other characters from the NES franchise. So yeah, Super Mario Bros. Crossover, like I mentioned earlier, is a crossover of the original Super Mario Bros. Games with many different characters from the NES franchise, such as Mega Man, Link from The Legend of Zelda, Samus from Metroid, Simon from the Castlevania games, and many more. So, in Super Mario Bros. Crossover, the latest version, which is version 3, you get to play through three different Super Mario Brothers games from the NES era. You get to play the original Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels, and Super Mario Brothers Special. So those are the three game modes you can play in Super Mario Brothers Crossover. Not only that, you could change the map skin, which will have music to that corresponding game that you selected. You can also change the character skins of each character. In fact, if you go to Mario's skin, you can play as Toad from SMB2, and if you go to the Luigi character or the Luigi skin, you get to play as Princess Peach for that skin. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So each game mode has three difficulties you can select: normal, easy, and hard. So the normal mode is basically the original format of each of those Super Mario Bros. Games, such as if you do normal mode of SMB, you get all of the level designs from SMB. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, you get all the level designs in Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, and the same with Super Mario Bros. Special. But if you change it to easy mode, the levels are actually changed where there's a lot of coins, which you will get 1-ups if you change it on easy mode. And in hard mode, it's the same as easy mode, but instead of a lot of coins, the level designs is also changed to make the levels a lot harder, meaning that there's probably more pits, there's probably more enemies in the level, which will make the game difficulty a lot harder, which is basically what hard mode is. So yeah, you can change between three difficulties. You can also change the way how the characters in the game interact with the enemies. Is because that all of the characters in the game, with the exception of Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad, cannot stomp on enemies is because that they're not in the Mario universe. So if you want the other characters to stomp on enemies, you have to go to the cheat option in the title screen and select Everyone Can Stomp, which will allow all the other characters in the game to stomp on enemies without the need of their special weapons. But you can still use their weapons regardless, but you can also still stomp on them if that cheat code is selected. Now, moving on to the pros about Super Mario Bros. Crossover and some of the cons. The pros are, I do love the concept of other Nintendo franchises interacting in the original Super Mario Bros. Games, is because that these other characters are not from the Mario universe, and they might bring in their own taste, such as if you play as Samus, you could have like a gun and shoot down your enemies. You can also shoot down the blocks and the bricks that are in the levels. Or if you're playing as Link from The Legend of Zelda, you can use your sword, there's bombs, and everything. And another thing that I want to mention is that if you select a character from each of their separate franchises, you're always not going to get the power-ups from those games. Because if you play as Mega Man, you might not get the Super Mushroom, is because the Super Mushroom isn't in Mega Man. It's actually from the Mario series. So you might get different items from those corresponding games if you play as that different character that are not from the Mario universe. So my biggest con with Super Mario Bros. Crossover is the sound effects for Mario if you play through any of the skins. Is because that all the sound effects are from the Super Mario Bros. Game, the first Super Mario Bros. Game for the NES. So here's an example that I wish the game should have did. If you play it as Super Mario World Mario and the Super Mario World skin and the map, they should have the sound effects from Super Mario World, such as the coin sound effect, the jump sound effect, the stomping sound effect. But that's not the case, is because all the sound effects, if you're playing as Super Mario World Mario and the Super Mario World map, they're all from the original Super Mario Bros. Game, and that's kind of disappointing, is because that I was expecting that this game would have the sound effects and the power-ups of those games, but they want this game to be as the original Super Mario Brothers, meaning that the only power-ups you get if you play as Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Toad is the Fire Flower, the Star, and the Mushroom. You don't get no Super Leaf if you're playing in the SMB3 map. You don't get no Cape Feather from the SMW map. It's because all the power-ups are from the original Super Mario Brothers games and not the power-ups from those other games and those skins, which is kind of disappointing, but it kind of does make sense. It's because that the maps in Super Mario Bros. Crossover are not in SMB3 or SMB2. They're only in SMB1, SMB The Lost Levels, and SMB Special. So those are the only maps that you can play the game in, making the sound effects only be in the original Super Mario Bros. Game. So I think that's the reason why they didn't add the sound effects from those other games if you change the skin of the character or the map that you're playing in. Now it is time for me to wrap up this review with my verdict. So, Super Mario Bros. Crossover is actually a pretty fair game. It's a disappointment that the sound effects for each of the skins are not for the corresponding games, and most characters are not as well as others, which makes you have the choice to choose between those characters that fits best you. So, my final rating for Super Mario Bros. Crossover is an 8.5 out of 10. Good game. So, that's my review for Super Mario Bros. Crossover. What are your thoughts about this game? Drop a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.